Which bodybuilder or bodybuilders motivated you the best?
Big Ramy and Derek and everybody else.
You became one of the most anticipated bodybuilders in the whole industry.
He really sort of gave me a chance to explore what I was physically capable of.
People say most likely it might be you that's gonna win.
It's unreal. Yo, how's it going? How's it going, man? How you doing?
Samson, how are you? Good to meet you.
Good. I'm good. How's that?
Good, man. Good. Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, but how's it going?
Good, man. Good to have you on. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Oh, man, appreciate it, man.
It's a great pleasure to meet you. I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, man, likewise. This one is definitely, I could definitely say likewise, man, because
I appreciate
First
it.
Generation Iron movie, that was definitely changed my life.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So let's begin, man. I have a lot of questions for you, man. I definitely.
Sure.
You know, you became one of the most anticipated bodybuilders in the whole industry. It seems like, you did it relatively fast, and now you are, I would say, one of the top contenders. How does it feel? How does it feel to be that person?
It feels surreal, man. It does feel surreal. And you know what? It's like, I love the saying, they said like, man, you work over 10 years to become an overnight sensation. It wasn't fast, but it's like you were noticed at the point. And I think for the first time, they noticed me in 2022 or towards the end of 2021, and then they got to see me progress during that stage. So they kind of thought, oh man, he progressed really fast, but they didn't know that, I've been a pro since 2017, and I've been sort of, battling my way to try to get to the Olympia all these years. And only at 2022 that people finally actually took notice when I first did Arnold, Ohio. So yeah, man. But you know what? It's all definitely been a dream come true for me, man. It's definitely been it's been surreal because it's something like I said. I started bodybuilding at the end of 2013. Did my first ever show in 2014, and for me, it was like, so bodybuilding. I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. I wasn't from the lifestyle. I didn't have anything there. I worked a normal job for years, and it was almost something I just got into. And my missus, she was one that actually met me at the gym and actually said, look, you actually got a physique on you. Have you ever thought about doing a bodybuilding show? And I kind of thought because I was a rugby guy, man. I was just like all team sport guy. And I thought like, man, you know what? I don't know. It's not really my thing. It doesn't seem like the hardcore manly sport thing. But, she took a while for her to convince me. And one of the ways she actually did it is when the First Generation Iron movie came out. I remember it was the day I had my first amateur show. And I watched that, and I actually, for the first time, saw what bodybuilding was and the lifestyle, how they was at that level. And I just like, man, you know what? Yeah, I want that. I want to be part of that. I want that life.
Wow.
And it just kind of got to working from that point. And I never knew that how far I would go. I thought, okay, you know what? You're talented, gifted, but so are loads of other people. How far could you actually take it? And I was like, you know what? If I can make it to Olympia, at least I can say, look, I went to become one of the best in the world on stage. That would be a big enough, lifetime goal for me. So to kind of be able to be here now, you can imagine how that feels, and it's unreal. It's really unreal.
Incredible. You were a rugby player at one point, right?
Yes. Yeah. I played rugby from 2012 all the way to 2013, end of 2013 when I started this.
Wow. How did you feel about that sport? Is this something you wanted to build a career out of as well?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love rugby, man. It was for me. It was one of those sport where it was like the manly sport of the UK. Because before,
Right.
I played football, I played basketball, but rugby was the first sport that brought me out of my shell. It really showed me what's capable, and that aggressiveness and that ability to be in this war with your whole team and go after the opposition, and that anger and everything else. You could take it out on the pitch, take it out on the field for the first time, and take it out on somebody for the first time, and really not holding back, and they praise you for it. So for me, Robbie, it really sort of gave me a chance to explore what I was physically capable of in all its glory and not holding back. And
Right.
that for me was a big draw, and I really, really loved it, and I really enjoyed it, because it was like, yeah, wow. And you got a lot of support from people around you and your teammates and everything else. And for me, that was something that, I never had coming up to that point.
To me, rugby, it looks like the most hardcore game in the whole world because you're not wearing equipment like in football. Like in American football, you wear a helmet and pads. Like there, you have no equipment. How do you even like? Do you get injured every single game?
Oh my God. Rugby is like being injured is like part of rugby.
Mm,
It's like, you go in, you take a hit, you break your nose, you bleed in, and you
yeah.
don't even, it's almost like we don't even bat an eye about it. It's like, oh, you got to bring it, okay, put a tissue on it, let's go. Next, let's get back. So it was
Wow.
really, it's that sport because it's like you're literally in football gear, shorts and a t-shirt out in the, and UK, it's cold and freezing because rugby happens in the winter months. It doesn't happen in the summer months. When
Right.
it's raining, it's cold, it's muddy, it's slippery, and then you're running full pelt into each other and hammering full on out. There's all full contact. And it's the adrenaline of that is something is almost is addictive. The ability to
Wow.
kind of be there and be chased down when you have the ball and try to go off to the other way, the other side of the field, hitting anybody that's in your way. It's he said, and yep, getting hurt is just like, well, another day. There's
Wow.
nothing really something about it.
Did you miss it? Did you miss leaving that sport for bodybuilding?
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Sometimes I do think about it and I think, man, I mean, I'm probably just way too big and way too slow to sort of play in that level. But I do sometimes think that, man, maybe one day, when I'm retired from
Mhm.
bodybuilding, I might go in and play with the old gentleman and like give it a little one friendly game or something and just see how it feels again. But yeah, man, sometimes I do miss it. And, it's one of those things where you kind of look back and say, okay, right, it was a choice of life. You have to make a decision on what you could go ahead because rugby, if I was playing rugby at this point, I probably would have had knee broken, shoulder broken, something. There
Man.
would have been so much injury that you would have definitely been like, okay, you
Wow.
couldn't carry on. So especially when it was time for me, that decision was you can't be a bodybuilder and play on rugby pitch at the same time.
Yeah.
It just won't happen. Something will end up giving. So
Mm.
it was almost like a very tough decision at the time where it was like, look, which one did you really have a future in doing? Coming in rugby, I was already about 28. And at
Mhm.
that point, most rugby careers are already in the midpoint. And compared to doing this, where you actually have control of being able to do this a lot longer,
That's
it was a
true.
case of, okay, which call makes the most sense,
Hmm.
and which one do you really love the most, which one makes the most sense going forward. So I was like,
Absolutely.
okay, it looks like, what, I might as well, I'm going to give the bodybuilding thing a try.
That makes sense. You were born in Nigeria, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
When did you move to UK and how did it happen? Do you remember?
Well, so basically, I moved to the UK when I was about 15, 16. And basically, my parents, I had my parents, my dad still lives in Nigeria.
Mhm.
He comes in back to my mom and my brothers and sisters, they all live here. Some of them live in the States, some of them live in Germany. But we all kind of migrated here one around and mainly for, education, better life sort of thing like that. My mom's a nurse. So it was like, especially because she came here first, a lot with my younger brother when he was a lot younger, and she needed someone to sort of look after him. So they basically kind of brought me here, sort of like, okay, go school in here and then look after my younger brother as well.
Do you think it would be possible for you to have a bodybuilding career if you would have stayed in Nigeria? Is there like a environment there for bodybuilding? No, you don't think so?
No, it's not just that, is the country you're talking about, because bodybuilding, as much as it is expensive and a luxury sport,
Mhm.
you know, if it's something like football where you just all you need is be talented on the field and just play with your energy and that's it. Bodybuilding requires a lot of food,
Right.
a lot of monitoring, a lot of softer life, to one way to put it,
Mhm.
compared to in a country where having the ability to eat 6 meals, 5 meals a day is almost unheard of. It's just you won't get that sort of lifestyle done. And all the things, the information and everything else that you have access to, you won't get it there. And there is sort of like something like a federation coming up there, but it's only recently started. And even that is still they're still such a far way from, because Nigeria is not even like South Africa that's already quite ahead. Nigeria still be behind that. So trying to build up any sort of physique in that environment is almost damn near impossible.
Which bodybuilder or bodybuilders motivated you the best when you got into the sport? Right, when you fell in love with it, which bodybuilder you really looked up to?
Oh man, for me, it was interesting. There was a few of them, Phil Heath at the time, when I came in, he was the reigning Mr. Olympia.
Mhm.
And honestly, I think seeing his physique at the time was something that just was unheard of. It's something you never see. It was so freakish. It was so just wow at the same time that for me, as soon as I saw his physique, I was just like, man, I didn't think a human being could look like that.
True.
Him walking out, it was just like how
Like a 3D, like a 3D model, right?
yeah, that it was just it's unseen, it's unheard of. So seeing that for me really sort of fired me up and think, okay, there's something that's possible for human body to achieve. And then obviously I had Flex Wheeler as well. He was another one that, the artistic look, that beautiful physique, to have so much grace and so much flow in the stage while holding so much muscle and looking so artistic and beautiful as well. That for me, that really inspired me. That was like, man, okay, if I can even look half of that, it would have been a life well spent. And so for me, those guys, they really were the first one that drew me up in their physique and really drew me into sport and go, wow, that's something that's possible, something you could achieve.
Hmm. Last year when you got to Olympia, right? You got third place last year. When you were up there, did you expect Derek Lunsford to win the title? Did you see that coming?
I mean, I wouldn't say I expected it because it was like we knew we were battling for it. And obviously we had me, Derek, and Hardy battling for it after the first call out. And you kind of like, okay, at this point, even when we finished the prejudging, you were like, okay, it's a close battle. All three of us are right there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's not a case of expectation. It's a case of, okay, you know what? It's gonna be one of us. It's gonna be one of us. You
Hmm.
know, whoever it's gonna be, we're gonna find out tonight. But it wasn't expectation. It's more like, okay, yeah, for whoever got that title at that time, it was like, you know what? Yeah, they deserved it.
Hmm. Well, you got third place. I mean, that's incredible. You know what I mean?
That's
Oh
incredible.
yeah. I mean, third place in my second ever Olympia. I mean, this one, I mean, I was just hoping to make it to the Olympia, a year ago. And then
Because you got six in 2022. You got sixth place. Now you moved up to third place.
yeah, sixth in my first Olympia and then third in my second Olympia. So yeah, it's crazy because like a year before that, 2021, I was struggling just to get a qualification to Olympia. I remember I did 5 shows back to back just to try to get a qualification for the Olympia. And then I come up and I did my first one. I came sixth, and second one I'm coming third. So for me,
Right.
that's like so it's just been a journey of like this climbing up this mountain, and it's been quite fast. And at the same time, it's been so enjoyable and so inspirational to be able to do it. I
Yeah.
never really thought it would ever be possible. So to be here is like, oh, this is a dream.
That's why for the general fan, it looks like you had such an amazing fast run because first Olympia sixth place, second Olympia third place, and now this year you're in a conversation like everybody right now, everybody who makes predictions, like every week a prediction comes out, right? You always a contender. Like people say, most likely it might be you that's gonna win, or at least you know what I mean. So when you hear this, do you feel pressure or do you feel happy?
Oh no, man, I feel like it's freaking honor. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, I remember following bodybuilding when I first got into it. I mean, for me, like 2014, when I first saw the sport and I watched my first Olympia, I remember going back and watching every single bodybuilding documentary, every single Olympia that's ever happened, every single movie, anything I can find about it from pumping out. I went back and I watched all of it over and over and over. When I was doing cardio, I was watching every documentary. I was watching every Olympia from the past, every one I could find all the way now. So when you've been a fan and watched those things happen, and remember, for me, it doesn't feel like a gap between watching Phil Heath and Sean Roden and Dennis Wolf battling out and Kai Green battling out for top four. All of a sudden, in the space of that short time, you find yourself in the same position. It's crazy. It's crazy. So when you're here now, you just in the point where you just like, man, I'm just enjoying the ride because it's unbelievable, man. It's a dream come true.
Absolutely. And then you also won Arnold Classic in 2023, which is huge as well, because that's amazing.
Yeah, my second Arnold Classic. I mean, yeah, I mean this one. When you kind of put it like that, you do understand why they come think, man, your rise it's been quite fast, and it's crazy because I remember even getting the invite for the first Arnold Classic 2022. I remember it was literally a week or so before Christmas. And the invite came along and saw the list. My name was on it. And I remember we were having a party. Me and my wife, we put on the music. We were dancing and jumping around the house, going, "Oh my God, I just got an invite for the Arnold." And it was surreal. It was just like this moment where I was just like, I cannot believe I'm going to the Arnold. And then did my first Arnold, was fourth at my first Arnold. And I was already thinking, this is crazy. Like, wow, this is a big step. And then a few months later, going into Olympia and then placing sixth in your first Olympia. So, yeah, then you come around from literally, because I remember the Olympia and to the Arnold then was only 11 weeks.
Yeah.
So my first Olympia where I placed sixth to the Arnold was only 11 weeks. And, I think that first Olympia sort of brought something in me because you go from being, okay, I just want to make top 10. I just want to be in the Olympia. I just want to just be somewhere in there. And then when you land in the first one, you're sixth place. And I look at my physique and I look where I was at the time. I look how fast we've improved at that time. And I generally thought, you know what? I've seen the guys in front of me and I'm seeing where I'm at. And I'm thinking, I think I can improve enough time to catch them. I think I can improve enough time to make an impact. So when we were going to the Arnold from there, I thought, you know what? I know I can beat them. I know I can come in. I know I can win the show. So when the Arnold came around, it was, I just don't know. I just had a feeling when I knew that the work I would put in, the transformation, the way my physique was progressing so fast. I think in 11 weeks, I already have enough size, which was always one of those things where for a long time in my career, it was okay. Did you have enough mass, enough size? I don't think it's just hand with the top guys in the world. So at that point, standing on that Olympia stage, standing next to guys like Big Ramy and, you know, and Derek and everybody else, I was like, damn, I had enough size to hang with them. So I'm like, okay, everything else I can control. So in 11 weeks, I can be better. So come 11 weeks time, you know, we did the Arnold and, you know, kind of walk away with the win with that one. And it was, yeah, it was crazy to see that. It really built up a lot of self-belief after that happened.
Yeah.
You know, you then, at that point, it felt like, okay, isn't luck, isn't chance. You're meant to be here. You're meant to do this.
Yeah.
And now this is evident that you are meant to be one of these guys. You're meant to be here at this level.
Samson can definitely beat Hot.
I'm bringing bodybuilding to another level with it.
What did you think about Arnold Schwarzenegger raising the prize money for Arnold Classic?
I guess I'm doing the Arnold next year then.
What is your strategy this year?
Even now, I know how much my physique has improved since then and how much he's improved since then.